What truly happens when a man falls deeply for a woman older than him? There are endless signals, subtle behaviors, and small tells. But you want to know the one undeniable giveaway? It's the way he speaks. His words, those casual, unguarded things he says without thinking, are often the clearest reflection of how he truly feels, especially when it comes to how a younger man emotionally attaches to an older woman. Today, I'm going to share the exact 11 phrases a man says when his heart has quietly started to belong to her, sometimes without him even knowing. Because when a man begins to feel something real, something deep, his protective wall starts to come down. His emotional filters slip, and what spills out tells you everything. Stay with me until the end, because these aren't the typical romantic words you'd expect. In fact, they're usually so casual, so offhand, that most women overlook them entirely. But if you pay close attention, these words reveal the truth his actions might not be brave enough to show just yet. Now, here's where things get tricky. A lot of older women who find themselves in close connection with younger men often end up confused or emotionally torn. Why? Because the way men express attachment is vastly different from how women typically do. And when there's an age gap involved, especially when the woman is the older one, things can feel even more uncertain. You may start questioning your instincts. Was that compliment just polite? Is he being charming or just flirty by habit? You begin to overanalyze and replay conversations in your mind, wondering if he meant something deeper or if you're just imagining it. Scientific research supports this emotional disconnect. Studies published in the Journal of Social Psychology have shown that while women tend to express love and vulnerability more directly through emotion, affection, and verbal reassurance, men often reveal their feelings in roundabout subconscious ways, especially when they're unsure if their feelings will be accepted. They don't always come out and say it. Instead, they communicate through patterns, small comments, tone, and body language, much of which they don't even realize they're doing. So it's no surprise that women, especially older women in these dynamics, often feel like they're navigating in the dark. You might hear yourself thinking, maybe he says this to everyone, or he's just being nice, or even worse, I'm probably just reading too much into it. But let me tell you something. When a man begins to truly fall for an older woman, there is no completely hiding it. His subconscious will reveal him, and the way he talks around you becomes more than just talk. It becomes a window into his emotional world. That's why recognizing these verbal cues matters so much. When you know what to listen for, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop wasting energy wondering if he's into you or just enjoying the attention. You stop doubting what's right in front of you. In fact, understanding these signals can be the difference between walking away from someone who was falling hard for you or staying in something that was never real to begin with. There's something else you should know. In a 2019 study conducted by Elite Singles, over 60% of men admitted to having harbored deep emotional feelings for a woman older than them at some point in their life. Think about that. These men didn't just admire or crush, they felt real, lasting emotions. But here's the twist. Most of them never openly admitted it. They never said it out loud. When asked why, they cited fear. Fear of being dismissed. Fear that they'd be rejected. Fear that the older woman wouldn't take them seriously. Social expectations, internal doubt, and insecurity all played a role. So instead of confessing it outright, they kept it in, except for the little things they said when they felt safe, when their guard was down, when they weren't trying to impress or protect their ego. And that's where you come in. If you know how to spot these moments, if you catch the phrases he says when he's emotionally open, you'll know exactly what's going on beneath the surface. No guessing, no games, just clarity. Because men might hide their feelings, but their words will always find ways to slip through the cracks. Now, let's explore what some of those key phrases actually sound like when a man is falling in love with an older woman. These aren't the cliche, I love you or I miss you phrases. No, these are much more subtle, more telling, because they happen when he's not trying to be romantic. They happen when he's just being real. The first phrase is this: I feel safe with you. Most men don't throw the word safe around lightly. For a man to say this, especially to a woman, it means something profound. It means that around you, he's not worried about judgment. He doesn't feel the need to perform, to posture, or to pretend he's something he's not. You're not just someone he likes. You're someone who makes him feel seen and accepted. And that's rare. It's powerful. In a world that constantly tells men to toughen up, be strong, and never let down their guard, the experience of emotional safety is revolutionary. When he tells you that being with you is peaceful, that he feels calm or grounded around you, that's his nervous system responding to your presence. That's his inner world relaxing in ways it doesn't usually get to. And while he may not say, I'm falling for you, this is exactly what that statement really means in male language. He trusts you. He feels something sacred in your energy, in your maturity, in the way you hold space without demanding anything from him. And in that emotional safety, love begins to take root. Other words and phrases will follow in time, and they'll come casually. He might say things like, you get me, or I don't have to explain myself with you. He might say, I wish more people were like you, or talking to you makes my day better. And these aren't just compliments. They're confessions. They're emotional truths disguised as everyday conversation. They come out when he's feeling good, when he's relaxed, when he's not thinking too hard, and those are the moments that matter most. Because when a man speaks without effort, that's when he's showing you who he really is. And more importantly, how he really feels about you. You see, when it comes to relationships where the woman is older, men are often surprised by the depth of emotion they feel. At first, they may not expect it. They might think it's a physical attraction or a temporary connection or even a fun challenge. But then something changes. They find themselves thinking about you when they're alone, missing your presence when you're not around, wanting your advice, your opinion, your laugh. And slowly that light flirtation turns into something that sits in the center of their chest. A quiet longing, a deep attachment. And they don't know how to put it into words until the words slip out. They'll say things like, I've never told anyone that before, or I can be myself around you. They'll open up about childhood stories, past wounds, fears, or dreams they've never shared with anyone else. And that's not by accident. It's not because they suddenly became more emotionally open. It's because your presence makes it safe. It's because your energy invites honesty. Your maturity creates warmth, and your confidence doesn't demand, it simply allows. And men don't forget that, ever. So the next time he casually says something that feels deeper than the words themselves, pay attention. When his voice softens, when his gaze lingers, when he compliments not your looks, but your essence, those are his real feelings speaking. Those are the moments that tell you everything. You don't need him to confess love like a script. You just need to hear him when he isn't trying to impress, because that's when the truth comes out. And when a younger man starts falling for an older woman, he might not shout it from the rooftops, but if you listen closely, you'll hear it in every word he didn't mean to say out loud. Older women, according to a study published in Psychology Today, often provide a sense of emotional safety that many younger partners might struggle to offer. Their life experience, emotional maturity, and grounded nature create a stability that men find deeply comforting. If he says something that hints at this, even if it sounds like a joke, it's not something to take lightly. It usually means his heart has already become emotionally anchored to you in ways he may not fully understand himself. When a man tells you, "You get me like nobody else does," it's not just flattery, it's an admission, an acknowledgement that you've moved from a surface level connection to something far more profound. You've crossed into emotional territory where he feels seen, validated, and understood. That kind of statement reveals you're no longer just a presence in his life. You've become an emotional anchor. And here's what makes that so important. Emotional intimacy is far more lasting than physical attraction. Physical chemistry might spark the connection, but emotional resonance is what keeps it alive. That line, "You get me," means you've become a mirror where he sees his inner world reflected without judgment. That's powerful, and it's rare. Then there's the phrase, "I can't imagine my life without you." It may sound poetic, but look closely, especially at the word now. That single word carries weight. It implies a transformation, that your presence has integrated into the fabric of his day-to-day experience, subtly, silently, but undeniably. You're not an afterthought or an option anymore. You're a part of his life rhythm, whether it's morning coffee, late night conversations, or the quiet comfort of knowing you're there. Your existence has become part of his internal world. According to relationship expert Dr. Jen Mann, when someone begins incorporating another person into their future plans, it reflects a deep emotional bond. So when a man says this, it's not just romance, it's recognition. He's mentally and emotionally placing you in the vision of his future, even if he's not consciously mapping it out. Another sign is when he says something like, "You make me want to be better." Don't overlook this. Men are rarely inspired to change by pressure, but they are deeply moved to evolve when they feel emotionally safe, respected, and admired. Older women often embody this energy. They challenge without criticizing, support without smothering, and inspire without needing control. If a man feels encouraged to grow simply because of your presence, that's a clear sign of emotional impact. According to a study conducted at the University of Wisconsin, men in relationships with older women reported significantly higher levels of motivation toward personal development than those dating younger partners. This statement from him suggests that he not only values who he is with you, but also who he's becoming because of you. And then there's this one. "I told my mom about you." That might seem casual, but it's far from it. Men don't talk about just anyone to their families. If he's told his mother or siblings about you, it means he sees you as someone significant. You've crossed the line from private to public in his world. You've become someone he wants his inner circle to know and eventually embrace. This doesn't always mean a formal introduction immediately, but it's a sign that you've been placed in a category that matters. According to a 2020 Matchcom survey, over 76% of men admitted they feel emotionally bonded to a woman they've introduced to their family. It's symbolic. It's his way of integrating your presence into the framework of his emotional life. Then comes the deeply vulnerable phrase, "You're the only person I can talk to about this." When a man begins confiding his worries, his failures, or his hidden doubts in you, he's handing over something sacred, his emotional truth. And he doesn't do that lightly. Men are often conditioned to keep their emotions under control, to handle things internally. So when he opens up, it's not because he's weak, it's because he trusts you deeply. In that moment, you're not just someone he's dating or spending time with. You've become his emotional refuge. This level of openness signals emotional exclusivity, which over time builds a connection that's far stronger than physical exclusivity alone. It means you're not just an option. You're the person he turns to when the mask drops. There's another statement that says, more than it seems. I don't care what people think. If he says this in the context of your relationship, especially if there's a noticeable age difference or an unconventional dynamic, it's revealing. It means he's committed enough to let go of societal expectations and embrace the reality of what he feels. And that's not easy. Men often grow up caring deeply about how they're perceived, about fitting into certain molds. But when a man decides your connection matters more than public opinion, it shows strength and depth. A 2021 report by eHarmony found that couples with notable age gaps who felt emotionally bonded reported much higher resilience to outside judgment. So when he brushes off criticism or whispers, what he's really saying is this: you're worth it. And not just in private, but in public too. One of the most telling phrases a man can say is, I've never felt this way before. It might sound like something you'd hear in a movie, but if he says it genuinely, it reveals that your connection has taken him by surprise, that your presence evokes a feeling he can't quite name, but also can't ignore. It's a disruption of the norm. You're not just another experience for him. You've stirred something in his emotional core that likely challenges his past patterns. Often, older women have a calm, magnetic presence that feels grounding, intimate, and deeply feminine, something that's rare in a world full of performance and pretense. So, when he says this, it means you've reached a part of his heart he didn't know was still open. These phrases on the surface may seem casual or even cliche, but listen carefully. Men are often subtle with their feelings. They show more than they say. But when they do speak, and especially when they speak from the heart, their words carry weight. If he's saying these things to you, even in fragments, even with a laugh, there's something deeper happening beneath the surface. You're not just someone he likes spending time with. You're someone he's emotionally anchoring to. And that kind of bond isn't easily shaken. He may not always articulate it perfectly. He may not always be aware of the magnitude of his own emotions. But when a man feels emotionally safe, deeply respected, and genuinely understood, he begins to open in ways that surprise even himself. And often it's the presence of a mature, emotionally intelligent woman that creates the conditions for that kind of openness, not because she demands it, but because her energy allows it. She listens without judgment, encourages without controlling, and remains deeply rooted in her self-worth. So if you hear him saying these things, don't brush them off. They aren't just romantic lines. They are clues. Clues that he's falling, feeling, and attaching on a level that most men reserve for only one woman in their lifetime. The one who doesn't just make his heart race, but the one who makes his soul feel seen. Yes, it's a classic line, but it truly carries weight when spoken with sincerity, because most men aren't naturally expressive when it comes to emotions, especially when they're emotionally invested. They tend to show rather than tell. So when a man says something heartfelt like this, it's rarely casual or impulsive. It means he's genuinely feeling something profound. And more than anything, he's signaling that this connection isn't just a passing phase for him. It's meaningful and deeply rooted. Now, when he says, I wish we'd met sooner, this isn't about regretting age or lost youth. It's about time. Time he now feels was missing something because you weren't in it. That statement carries a quiet weight. It means he's reflecting on the past with a touch of longing because your presence now feels so essential. He can't help but wish you had been there all along. When a man feels this way, it's a strong indication that his heart is not only engaged, it's anchored. Then there's this powerful line, I can be myself around you. It may sound simple, but this one runs deep. What he's really saying is, I don't feel the need to perform. He doesn't feel judged. He doesn't feel like he has to hide behind a mask of strength or pretend to be invincible. And for men who are often taught to suppress vulnerability, that feeling of comfort is incredibly rare. When a man tells a woman, especially an older woman, that he feels free to be his authentic self, it's a major sign of trust and emotional closeness. He feels accepted. He feels understood. And that's priceless. Clinical psychologist Dr. John Gottman has spent decades studying relationship dynamics. And one of his most profound findings is this: emotional authenticity, the ability to show up as your true self without fear, is one of the most reliable predictors of long-term relationship satisfaction. So when a man can openly admit he feels at ease around you, that's not just romantic, it's relational gold. And now we arrive at the final and arguably most powerful phrase a man can say. You've changed me. This one hits different. It's not about changing his style or his habits. It's not about superficial adjustments. It's about transformation. When a man tells a woman, especially a woman who's grounded in wisdom and experience, that she's changed him, what he's really saying is, you've shifted something deep inside me. It's not infatuation. It's not lust. It's evolution. He sees the world a little differently now. He sees himself a little more clearly. He loves deeper. He listens more. And that change doesn't fade. It lingers. That kind of emotional impact doesn't happen every day. It's not casual. It's rare. And when a man feels it, he remembers it for a long time, sometimes forever. It's the kind of shift that stays with him, even when words fade or circumstances change. Because it wasn't just about love, it was about growth. And it started with you. So just to bring it all back into focus, let's revisit those 11 powerful phrases that reveal a man's heart more than any grand gesture ever could. 1, I feel safe with you. 2, you get me like nobody else does. 3, I can't imagine my life without you now. 4, you make me want to be better. 5, I tell my mom about you. 6, you're the only person I can talk to about this. 7, I don't care what people think. 8, I've never felt this way before. 9, I wish we'd met sooner. 10, I can be myself around you. 11, you've changed me. Each of these words carries a subtle emotional fingerprint. They're not lines rehearsed to impress. They're confessions. They reveal vulnerability. They whisper intimacy. And they show you exactly where his heart stands, even if he's not shouting it from the rooftops. What makes these words so special isn't just what they say. It's what they represent. They signal a shift from surface-level connection to something richer, deeper, and more enduring. They reflect the way your presence touches his world. Because when a man says, I feel safe with you, he's letting down his guard. When he says, you've changed me, he's acknowledging that your presence didn't just enter his life, it transformed it. And here's the thing most people overlook. Men don't always express love in the same way women do. They might not write love letters or have long heart-to-hearts. But when they say these specific words, these deeply revealing phrases, it's their way of showing that you matter on a level they can't always explain. And they don't say them lightly. So if you've started hearing any of these, don't brush them off. Don't assume they're just nice things to hear. Really listen, because that's where his truth lives. That's where his emotional investment reveals itself, not in grand gestures, but in quiet, sincere admissions of feeling. These words aren't always planned. In fact, most of the time they spill out when he's not trying to impress, but when he's simply being honest. And that's when they mean the most. Now, if any of this feels familiar, if you've ever heard one of these lines whispered during a quiet moment or dropped unexpectedly